I knew that.
One, two, three, four,
You're gonna
five, six, seven, eight,
soak down.
nine,
It's gonna
10.
be
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
better
7,
than
8, 9,
Wednesday
10.
ones.
Royal Blue podcast
It's gonna
sound
be
check.
cold.
Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue podcast. It's Tuesday, July 29th. We are live and I am your host, Ian Croll. Joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, we've got Connor O'Neill. Connor, how are things? All good?
All good, thank you, Ian. All good.
All ready and ready to go to talk about Everton?
Of course, as always.
Good stuff. We've also got Tony Scott here for round two.
Somebody say the Alexander Usyk of the back around to again.
I'm Usyk, you're Dubois. You're all right, Tony?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. No, to be fair, Tony, you weren't really scheduled to be on the pod, were you? But we had a little chat and we said it'd be good to get you back on.
Yeah.
Not
the
that we're gonna.
feedback was good, so
The
why not?
feedback was good.
Give the
from-
customers what they want.
When was it? Friday.
Yeah.
Good little debate. Had a little debate with Joe yesterday.
So a regular theme running here, isn't he?
Well, I've got to keep the entertainment value running.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No such thing as a quiet summer's day, is there?
Well, I can't promise that it won't get as feisty as last time, but we'll see what happens.
Got feisty between you and Joe, didn't it?
It did. He definitely got a bit sheepish afterwards, like, so he wouldn't speak to me in the office afterwards.
It's crazy, isn't it, when there's no games going on? Like, how obviously the debates rage on. When there's games going on, it's like
Yeah.
everyone's just like, yeah, okay, yeah, fine, we've been beaten. Let's get on with it.
I just said to Connor then, I'm off now for a couple of days from Thursday. I said, my head's battered talking about Everton. I'm just looking forward to a couple of days off, do you know what I mean?
And just still be checking your phone.
Oh,
every
yeah, of
5
course.
I was going to say, says the man who'll be on Twitter tweeting every 5 minutes.
But we have got a game Wednesday and a game Sunday as
Oh,
well.
so,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
yeah, so
yeah.
there you go.
You can't.
And then rolling with the week after.
Exactly, you can't avoid it, can you? Okay, well, today's agenda, we'll get a couple of little bits that we will discuss. Everton are set to make the fourth signing of the summer in the shape of left-back Adam Asnou. We'll get into that. The club has once again been linked with a loan move for Manchester City winger Jack Grealish. We'll get the lads' thoughts on this potential move for Everton. Nottingham Forest have made an approach for James Matei. That's according to reports early this morning. So where does that leave Everton in the race to sign the England under-21 international? We will discuss that as well, and if we've got time we will take a look at reports coming out over the last few days that on Everton's women's team, as well as the new individual match ticket prices for the new season. So there is, despite no football as such, you know, obviously got pre-season games, but there is plenty of Everton news knocking around, so we will get into all of that. As always, give the video a thumbs up and drop us a like if you haven't already, and get subscribe to the channel. Get involved in the stream as well. We are live, so it's important that you express your opinion and get your comments in. Connor, start with you first. Let's start on a positive. Adam Asnou is set to undergo medical at Everton, potentially having it today, this afternoon, this evening. Everton have agreed a permanent fee in the region of £7.8 million, and he will become David Moyes' fourth signing of the summer, and obviously offer a much needed boost to a bit of a depleted squad, and you know, a position that Everton definitely needs covering as well. So thoughts on this signing?
Yeah, you say that, but I think people are a bit surprised, aren't they, that it's a left back coming in before a right back. I think people thought it'd be the other way around, that a right back would come before a left back, but no, it's a positive, isn't it? I mean, the biggest thing in all this is A, he's clearly a player that Everton have identified and they want to bring to the football club, and B, like you said there, it's a body to, you know, go into what is a depleted squad. And you know, obviously we all saw Saturday's game, and the fact that Everton, you know, are in a position where they can't name a lot of substitutes, like, well, we certainly can't name the same number of substitutes that like the Bournemouth and Manchester United did. So yeah, they need bodies, they need people to come in, and he's clearly a player who's been identified by David Moyes and the recruitment team to come in and strengthen an area that I think, if we're being honest, although Mikalenko's done well in parts of the season, I don't think anyone is against the extra cover coming in, and Mikalenko now having genuine competition, because I think for a long time it's been felt like he's a one-man band, isn't he? He's essentially done left back Everton have got, and it was always a case of someone who will fill in more than anything if he did pick up an injury. So to step in the right direction, it's a positive move, and you think now it's probably one down, 8 to go if you go off David Moyes' estimations from obviously the show we done with the Men in Blazers podcast last week.
I mean, so we've said for a good couple of seasons now, even with Mikalenko there, we've needed left back cover. Still, I think I said it the other week, I'm still astonished that Everton have managed to get through 2 or 3 seasons with just Mikalenko as the only recognised left back. There was Moyes spoke about, as new, a few comments with regards to, he's coming in as one for the future. He hasn't played too much first team football at Bayern. Do you know much about him? But, let's leave the right back situation for the time being. We can come on to that, but again, another positive step forward. Certainly from my point of view, that we've signed the fourth signing. It's another player in, and it's cover, someone who can potentially push Mikalenko.
Listen, you've got to be some kind of a decent player to have obviously signed for Bayern Munich in the first place. But yeah, it's cover in a position where, as you've just touched on there, it's probably the last, apart from Mikalenko, was the last left back we actually signed. Was it Luca Digne?
Probably Luca Digne, yeah.
That's how far we're going back.
Maybe we was spoiled for choice, wasn't we? A bit like Baines.
Exactly, but we was
for so many years.
Yeah, we was. And listen, we'd all love to have seen cover come in on the right hand side. I'm sure we'll talk about that shortly. But transfers don't work out like that. Transfers will happen. What pops up at that specific time, when that agent will prefer a meeting at that time, when that club's willing to talk. Ideally, I'm sure David Moyes would have loved to have sorted his right hand side out, but transfers, they don't work like that. It's opportunity and when it arrives. So yeah, it's a good deputy for Mikalenko. I'm still unsure on Mikalenko in terms of, is he going to be the left back to make us a top 10 side? I'm still unsure on that, to be honest. 1 minute Mikalenko can give you a 9 out of 10. The next minute he can be a 4 out of 10. I think he's here or there. I think if Everton want to become a European side, he needs to be replaced. But it's good cover for that, and hopefully Asnu can be that potential now to fill the void that we probably desperately wanted for a long period of time now.
I mean, just on the right side, it's not as if Everton haven't tried to sign a right back this summer. Obviously, Kenny Tete was potentially on the verge, and we know there was a lot of moving parts with regards to that, and whether he used Everton as a tool to get more money from Fulham. But either way, it looked like Everton were trying to solve that right back issue, at least for a season or two with Kenny Tete.
Well, I think they are, aren't they? I think they are trying to actively solve the right back issue. I don't think David Moyes under any illusions that he doesn't need to bring in a right back. Like Tony says, though, these things don't happen overnight. They don't happen. They can take a long time. And like you say, Kenny Tete looked like he was going to be on the brink of joining Everton. Whether he led up the garden path or whether he just get a genuine offer from Fulham out the blue at the last minute, we don't know. But I just think, going back on to Tony's point there about Mikalenko, what I find quite interesting with this deal is this indication of how we might start playing a little bit differently, certainly at home. Because I think Mikalenko is a great left back when all you ask him to do is defend and put in like a defensive display away from home. And it's a bit mad because I often think, the stats don't back this back up, but I think people get what I mean. And I often watch Mikalenko play against like Salah, and I think he's done really well there. And 9 times out of 10, Salah still scores. But you generally think Mikalenko's done quite well there. Like he's been tight to him. He's not given him an inch. I think he's done well against Saka in the past. There's been plays or situations where when he's just had to defend, you come away and you think, God, he's done really well there. Where I think Mikalenko struggles is like them games at home where the opposition come and sit deep, and you almost want your left back to start playing as an additional left winger and get forward and overlap and make things happen. I don't think he's quite got that in his locker. I know Everton have been trying to work on this with him, and aided by the arrival of Leighton Baines as a first team coach in January when David Moyes took over. But I just don't think he's got that side of his game in his locker. I think when he's got to play defensively, and all his job is just to do is defend because we're away from home and it's backs against the wall, I think he's solid at that. I think he does a really good job, and I think he certainly gives the better attackers in the Premier League a tough afternoon. I just think it's the other side where when we play the lesser teams at home and we've got to take the game to them, he can't take the game to them. I think he's too perhaps defensive minded to be like almost plays a second left winger, and I just wonder whether this is now a different move with that of, we could well see a situation where we play Brentford at home or Wolves at home and we play with Mykolenko perhaps on the bench and we play with a bit more trying to forward, get on the front, but put down, there's a good opportunity when we go to Anfield, for instance, is it September in the first Merseyside derby, and you wouldn't be surprised to see Mykolenko mark and Salah, would you? I just think it could be that dynamic here where we're going to see a different ways to play.
Would David Moyes change his left backs like that? One game for one game for the other, because you wouldn't normally. He likes to start. He's pretty much like the mold of Sean Dyche, wouldn't he? Keep with his tried and trusted.
I think so, but then also you think of when his first time in charge, he used to have no issue with playing Seamus Coleman and Phil Neville, did he? When he played like Gareth Bale and stuff like that, and he'd almost double up and play as two right backs because it was like, well, this lad's really good.
So because we see Adam Azou as a left winger, so to speak,
certainly Adam Azou could play left back against the lesser teams at home, but then like I say, the Etihad away or Anfield away, you could see Mykolenko coming in and playing as like that defensive solid, lineup. And I just think it gives Everton something different. Well, it hopefully gives Everton something different from an attacking point of view because, like I say, I think Mykolenko's quite good defensively. I just think there's massive limitations to his game going forward.
Robert Jones with a question here. I'll come to you on this too. So he says, I don't get the criticism of Mykolenko. He's really solid defensively. Not as good as attacking, which kind of Connor said, but think he was not as good as attacking, but think it was under the dinosaur. And I think he obviously means Sean Dyche with regards to that. I agree with you a little bit, so in terms, I don't know whether he's the player to take us forward in that position. Getting into the top 10, 8 European players. But, we can always give him a chance. But do you think he has been hindered from previous managements, previous regimes? It's quite clear since Moyes has come in. I wouldn't say the shackles have come off. That's not what has happened. But he's certainly been a bit more progressive in his forward runs and getting up the pitch.
Oh yeah, listen. There'll be a lot of players that will blossom under David Moyes compared to the previous manager. You only have to look at the back end of last season to see the way players have just progressed offensively. Listen, Mykolenko, he could come on under David Moyes. We don't know. We've seen it in patches towards the back end of last season. But I'm looking at quality. I'm not disputing, as Connor's just touched, but 1v1, he's arguably one of the best in the Premier League. But you need more than that. You need more to
contributing to assists as well, don't you?
I hate the word assist really, and I say it myself because you're only as good as what the centre forwards. You can only put balls in the box. If you put 10 quality balls in the box and the striker misses 10 of them, well, that's not your fault. Do you know what I mean? You're not getting assists for that. But it's very rare you see him throw a good ball into the box. Half of them are ending up in, they've been ended up in Stanley Park and Queen's Drive half the time. They've just been lofts into the box and you're going, come on lad, you're looking for a bit more than that. I think to play football in the Premier League at the top level, you look at all the teams in and around the European position, the full-backs are bombing on. And if they're not bombing on, they're delivering quality crosses into the box or they're creating lots of chances. Mykolenko doesn't create chances. He doesn't whip quality balls into the box. And that's what you need. And if you're not doing that, you need to make a presence in the offensively in terms of set pieces. Like we've got Jake O'Brien, who's a really good threat from set pieces. But on the left-hand side, your options are really, really limited at the moment in terms of from a defensive point of view.
I think Tony's right from my point of view, Connor. You don't play for Bayern regardless of how young you are or whether they're letting you go for no reason. He's obviously got something, this player. Like I said, I don't know too much about him. I was trying to look at some of his stats, to be honest, for the past couple of seasons, but there was not much there because he hasn't played first team football. But like I say, Bayern don't sign poor players.
No, they don't. And, he's also had to spell Barcelona, hasn't he, I think, as well, on his career. And he certainly looks like he's got a little bit of pedigree about him, doesn't he? And, he looks like he's got a bit of energy, something different. Perhaps he's a bit more of a modern day forward thinking left back than what we've become accustomed to with Mykolenko. But look, I think the big thing is it's a body through the door, isn't it? And I think, we all watched on Saturday and don't
get him started.
We all know.
Did you see it? Did you forecast it?
We all know, but there's no need to go into the squad depth too much, is it? Because we've talked enough about that, and we all know that Everton's limitations and need to get players in, but the squad list, the teams he's on Saturday told the story, didn't it? And like I say, you look at, Bournemouth and Manchester United making 10 changes a piece, we made 4. And even that felt a little bit like it was, Moyes kind of had no choice but to do that. But I do wonder whether when it went 3-0, whether he was thinking, I don't really know if this is a good idea, putting some of the kids on, because we don't want it to go 4 and 5.
He didn't have an option though, did he, in the end? Because he's got to think about like players' well-being, for example.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because I saw one of his comments about last week where he kind of downplayed the importance of results in friendlies and, said it was all about fitness. And I was talking to someone at the weekend and he said, well, we used to have the fittest start 11 of the season because all our players are playing in pre-season. No one's getting 50 minutes and 45 minutes. All our players are seemingly playing 60, 90-minute matches because we've got no one else. So we should have the fittest team at the start of the season. So I don't think David Moyes got any concerns there around fitness. But yeah, it's a body through the door and it's an area that I think we're all quite glad to see a bit of competition brought in.
Interestingly, sorry.
Go on.
This is Moyes' fourth summer signing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the fourth signing that we've basically had a free hitter. And what I mean by that is that there's no other competition for it, which probably leads us to a separate conversation we're going to have shortly about other players. Not many teams are after Thierry Barry. No one was in for Travers. Alcaraz free hit. Obviously, as new free hit. So the test will come over these next couple of weeks with the players that will into
but
it.
I think that test has already come now, Tom. I think Everton have probably missed out on players who they wanted to sign already. I think that's already happened. I think reading between the lines of what David Moyes said in that interview with The Athletic, which was published on Monday, was it? I think we've already had a couple of players who've either rejected us
we know Delap was one,
or we just haven't had either the financial clout or we couldn't offer them what they wanted, i.e. European football. I think that's already happened. I think that has been happening since the start of the window, to be honest. I think there's been a few players who we've targeted or had lined up that we just,
So do you think David Moyes then, how outspoken he was to the official website, to The Athletic, for him to come out with that, do you think he's basically updating the fans or he's basically putting it out there that he's not happy the fact that we're not paying the big wages to get these types of players? Why would the manager say that? You just go.
I think it's a combination.
I know me cards.
I think it's a combination of both because I think he's wise enough, isn't he, to know that he's not going to treat the fans like fools. And I think if David Moyes has taken anything from the last couple of years, is don't try and treat Evertonians like a gang of fools because. I think Sean Dyche fell far out, didn't he? Where he was, some of the messages he would deliver. I think the other side of that is, though, I think he probably is a bit frustrated that Everton have not been able to get players over the line. But within that, I don't think it's just straight down to transfer fees. I think the problem you've got now is wages. I think length of contracts, European football is a big thing because you look now, the Premier League this year, is it 8 or 9 clubs are playing European football this year in the Premier League. That's a lot of clubs. Obviously, granted, only 4 up going to play in the Champions League. But that's a lot of clubs in England offering something that is, quite pristine, quite prestige, and Everton can't offer that. So it's tough. It's a tough market out there, and also as well, everyone is trying to get the same type of player in, aren't they? Do
you think the pull of the Europa League, Conference League is that big?
No chance.
I think the Europa League is because I think people look at the Europa League and think if they can do well in that, it puts them in the market for a champion. Not so much maybe a high level Champions League club, but I think it's a good barometer to see where some people think they are.
I think from a player's perspective, you want to sign for a Premier League club before you're signing for a Europa League club. But
if you can go to the Premier League though and go and play for a club that is playing in Europe in the Premier League, that's a big pull.
Of course, but
Barry signed for Everton and Villarreal are in the Champions League, aren't they? Didn't they finish 4th or 5th?
Why did he sign for Everton?
Because of the Premier League.
Because
they're in the Premier League.
Yeah, because I bet you Everton are paying him more than what Villarreal are.
Probably, yeah.
That's the reason why Everton have got Travers from Bournemouth.
But I think he also thinks as well that if he comes to the Premier League and performs well,
it's a stepping stone.
To the likes of, I don't know,
Champions
City,
League club,
Arsenal.
I get that. But they're paying him more. That's the reason why Everton have got them 3 players in. 4 players
and this also goes back to something I said a few weeks ago about like James Matei is a prime example, I think, of this. He's probably someone who Everton might have looked at towards the end of last season and thought, that lad's got everything that we need. Young, promising. Again, probably looking at a bit of a stepping stone, going to come in with a point to prove because he hasn't quite made it at City. He plays in areas and can do stuff that we haven't really got anyone who can do. So you're looking at him thinking, he's someone we can target. He then goes away with England under 21s, does really, really well, plays a key role in the winning the competition, a bit of a star in the making almost. And then all of a sudden that just puts world football on alert, doesn't it? Because everyone watches that competition.
Course, yeah.
Every scout probably out of Europe's top leagues is at that competition. All of a sudden everyone's got their eyes on it. City then probably think we can get more money for him now because people look at him and think, he's a better player than what they probably thought he was or what we've had to showcase. And all of a sudden it probably becomes 5 times, 6 times harder to get him in than what it was looking like the beginning of May when the Premier League season was coming, and he was just a bit part player for Man City off the bench. And don't get me wrong, I watched Matei towards the end of last season and was hopeful that we would bring him to the club because I thought he's got a lot that we need, and he's young and he's coming to Everton with a point to prove. And like I say, I think you look at that tournament though, and it can change people's fortunes, can't it? And we changed his fortunes and City's fortunes because they're not probably thinking, well, actually, on 40, 50 million for him. And, you've probably got clubs in Germany looking at him, Spain looking at him, the Premier League looking at him. So it just makes things harder. And that's the problem. You can't foresee some of these things happening.
No, but at the same token, it weren't just about him as well. Liverpool probably would have took best part of 30 to 40 million for Harvey Elliott. Now they're probably saying, we'll get 50, 55.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's just obviously has a good tournament. So it won't just be him. It's the nature of how the transfer market
another prime
is.
example is the lad who was up front for Germany, whose name escapes me at the minute, who Everton were strongly linked with. But he went and scored some goals and look how he and all of a sudden Bayern Munich are in for him. And again, that's the thing, isn't it? It's sometimes circumstances can hinder them that you can't control.
I think that's what comes down to a bidding war, which is what Everton want to avoid. And it does go back to what you were saying about Everton have largely not been challenged in some of the players that they bought so far. I think we'll carry on with Matei, but just going back to the comments that Moyes made, and clearly he's got an element of frustration. I think he's probably just letting the fans know we are still trying, because there obviously has been a bit of a dip in players coming in. I just think that what stood out for me in that whole thing was that we were struggling to get the players in at this moment. That's what he said. Now, granted, okay, we missed out on Delap. Let's face it, anyone who thought we would actually get into Delap over the likes of Chelsea, even Newcastle, even some like Man United were interested, we were never ever going to get Delap. I know you thought we might.
Hoped.
I know you hoped. No, but that's the point, though. It's hope.
Yeah.
It's hope, isn't it?
Well, Moyes himself, didn't he? What was it?
Realism.
We're behind the black ball or something like that. He said, he knew himself.
So he's only just being honest. What would you rather your manager be? Tell a couple of white lies or be honest? And I know you can be too honest. I think the point that I'm trying to make is there's players who are interested in coming to Everton, but they might be interested in going to some Champions League clubs or Europa League clubs first. Now, stay with Matei for a little minute. Forest have made the first move, by all accounts, 25 million. Now, it was reported the other week that City would accept in the region of 25 million. But City know that Everton are interested, so they'll wait now. They'll reject that.
Probably clubs in Germany and Spain and everywhere else are interested.
So Forest have made the first move. They'll wait now until the second club makes the first move, or whether Forest will come back with another offer. So, unfortunately, what you're going to have is a bidding war for James Matei, who I desperately want to come into Everton, by the way. I'm not saying he's on the level of Cole Palmer, but he's in that mix, isn't he, of when Cole Palmer left City, did anyone think he was going to go on to be as good as he has been for Chelsea? I don't think I didn't. So, Matei could potentially go on to do that. So, there's the potential there, and I think that did Cole Palmer go to Chelsea for like 40 million?
50 million, they're not 50 million.
So that's what City are going to want
for
James Matei, because he's not playing for City because he's a poor player. He's a very good player. It's just that some of the bigger clubs might be interested in James Matei, but they might not need that particular position at the minute. So it's about for me, it's about Everton trying to find a pathway for James Matei to come. What I would do, nowadays, the way it works is a bit crazy, isn't it? The parent club let the bidding club speak to the player first, even sometimes before a bid has been accepted. I would, if that is the case and that's happening, I would offer James Matei the world, whatever you want. And then in a way that would force City's hand to maybe even accept a lower offer for James Matei. Because you hear that all the time.
Of course.
I know what you're saying, but I still think that's quite tough to do, though.
But it's not going to be easy. Forest are going to come in for him. They've got money to spend
in Europe.
We've got money to spend. Are they going to come in?
He's got a Langer money as well, haven't he?
Exactly. It's a tough one. We are desperate for these quality players. Grealish being another one. Like, we know Everton interested in on loan. I know that story broke again this past week. But rumours that he's been like interested in Everton, that he might have been around like the Bramley Moor and Finch Farm and stuff like that. That's all rumours. But does he really, really want to come to Everton if he can get a Champions League club?
Let's read between the lines here with the Matei situation. I'm presuming that not bad. Manchester City put the feelers out to Everton and Nottingham Forest and all potential buyers, right? 35 million. That's it. Yeah, I know he's got a year left on his contract, but we're not selling for less than 30.
Though, isn't it?
Exactly, but it's the going rate. That's it.
Exactly.
Look at the players that they've let go. They've sold 462 million worth of talent from their academy since Guardiola stepped in. So they know how good their academy is and what they're producing. The list is endless. So that's where Manchester City have probably told Everton, Nottingham Forest, right, he's going nowhere for anything less than 35 million, for example here. So what Everton are best doing is basically saying, right, as you've just touched on, it's going to come to who's going to be paying him the best wages at the end of the day. Yeah. So both clubs will know exactly what we need to do. So when they get to a decision with the agent and with the player, right, we'll give you 100 grand a week, and Forest may say, well, we'll give you 120. And then they may get to Everton and go, well, right, maybe 130 then, and that's our final offer. And they go, okay, yeah, fine, no problem, go and see the club. And then it'll be down to Everton to negotiate with the club saying, right, I know you said 35, but can you meet us halfway through the middle where we'll pay 30 up front and maybe 5 million add-ons? And that's where it'll get to a situation like that. But I'm reading between the lines, Everton and Nottingham Forest will fully know quite well exactly how much it would take to buy James Matei, 100%. They're just testing the waters. We don't know what Everton's bid is. If they have put one in behind the scenes, we don't know. But as of yet, what we do know is that Nottingham Forest have been the first to make the move. Now it's up to Everton. And that's why I made the comparison before in terms of the 4 signings we've made have all been free hits. No one's touched them. No one's gone anywhere near these signings. This is the first player that we're rumoured to be interested in that other clubs are going for. So it's going to be a big test for Everton and the freaking group as well. To show, do you know what? Let's see the ambition here, what we've got. Do you want a big player? Do you want a player who's going to he could become a superstar? The 35 million we're talking about now, it could be a bargain in 2 years' time.
Well, that's why I used the example of Cole Palmer. Yeah. He's obviously probably worth 80, 90 million now.
More than that.
Well, more than that.
There you go then. Yeah. Just proves the point.
So this is where we're at. So it's like, do you stick or do you twist? And if you don't, it's like, I made an analogy where it's like Everton aren't shopping in Harrods. They're shopping in Gatey Market. That's where they're at. And it's like, if you're going to a stall in Gatey and you go, I want to buy something there. They go, do you know what? I'm on an hour. I'll just go have a walk around and I'll come back and hopefully it's still there.
Gone.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's where Everton are like at the moment. It's like, what you do, you either stick or twist. And it'll get to a decision in 5 weeks' time. The window shuts and then you're done. You've missed out on McAtee. You signed for Forest. He's scoring all kinds of goals. And we're done, and we're looking slower and lower down the ladder.
Look, weirdly, I agree with you on everything that you just said. I think Everton are in that situation where they could miss out, and I've been quite in defence of Everton's transfer business so far this season. And a lot of people will disagree with me. Even, we've lost a lot of players part of those players who've been released, barely featured. Some of the other players in the likes of Jack Harrison and Jesper Lindstrom, who were only on loan, they might have contributed as an appearance or starter, but what did they contribute from a goals?
But they still featured.
At this point, no, that's fine.
Don't they?
So no one's disputing at the right side of the pitch. Needs addressing. But if he's your top target, James McAtee, then go out and get him. I will be very disappointed. Like I said, being in defence of it, but I'll be very disappointed if we miss out to a James McAtee who goes to a Fulham and Nottingham Forest, these type of players, these type of teams.
If he goes somewhere else in the Premier League, that's a blow. It's a massive blow. I think if he goes to Germany, which I think there's talk, isn't that there's German clubs interested.
Apparently he wants to stay in the Premier League.
I think that's less of a blow because he's obviously just following the model of which he's seen Jude Bellingham excel, hasn't he? And obviously Quincy's now gone to Leverkusen and Sancho done well, didn't he, in Dortmund? Yeah. So that's a different ball game.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Because it's
I don't think if reading between the lines, he just want to go there.
That's career vision, isn't it, and stuff like that. But if he goes to the Premier League club, I think that's a massive blow.
If he goes to Forest or he goes to any other club, and he's not, the top 6 clubs won't be in for him. So if he goes to anyone else, then it's going to be for money. Then that's where you look at Everton's model there. They go, well, hang on, what are we doing? Are we basically showing our hand that we're not interested in these types of players? We're just basically looking to finish mid-table. Now, let's look at when we all walked out to the Southampton game, all our optimism was like, I want to get in the top half next season. I want to be fighting for Europe. Moyes only went on record about 3 or 4 weeks ago when he was collecting his MBE. I want to be challenging for Europe. But things currently stand right now, you're going, it's getting lower. You're going, top half. The way it's going on, the situation at the moment with the lack of signings and with the teams all pulling away from us, you're going...
Can't say lack of signings, though. We've signed 4 players.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, in terms of where we're at. He went on record 2 days ago and said, we need 10.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with him.
What have you got? 4 weeks, 5 weeks till the window shuts?
I don't disagree. I think my argument yesterday was that the core of Everton's squad that Moyes used, I think it was about 18 players, is still there. Obviously, the core has left, Calvert-Lewin's left, but we've replaced them with new players. I'd say upgrades. Whether you agree with that, I don't know. The right-hand side is obviously needs addressing. That definitely needs addressing. And like I say, our form is comparable to a Europa League run. You know,
That's gone. That's finished.
League.
That's gone.
No,
right now, all the other teams have got better.
No, yeah, it has. But you know, who's to say that we're not going to sign more players in the?
Well, that's what I mean.
we need
It's
to
all
sign more
hypothetical.
players,
Exactly.
don't we?
You
We
know,
need to sign
disagree
right,
with
as
it.
things currently stand at the moment, I'd probably David Moyes deep down.
That's probably where I think as well, in all this, where David Moyes' frustrations come in.
Yeah, 100%.
Because he's probably looking at it and thinking, well, actually, you know, I would have liked a few more players at this point to embed them, get them up to speed, and you know, don't really want to start the season having to chase a little bit, you know. And
well, we're going to have to do that now. We will have to do that.
But because Everton have got, you know, some tough games, haven't we? You know, we go to Leeds, open nights of the season. That's going to be tough. Whether we, you know, Ellen Road will be rocking. You know, that it's not an easy run, is it? You know, West Ham, Brighton. You know, it's not easy at all. So I just think that's probably where David Moyes' frustrations lies. That they've gone on tour and Everton haven't been able to go a bit more plays and have that little bit more squad depth than what he probably would have been hoping for.
And you're going to get injuries. Everton will pick
We've
up
already had
injuries,
haven't we?
Yeah, but you're going to get more by playing. If you're playing the same 12 or 13 players over these next 2 games in conditions where they're playing now, with that pitch, by the way, went the best.
It was terrible, wasn't it?
You're stretching the 12 or 13 fit players that you've currently got. You will pick up injuries.
Yeah.
Pound to a penny, we'll get an injury against West Ham and against United.
Well, it's typical unlucky Everton that the area where we've got 4 players that can play there, 3 of them are injured. Like that's the only reason really that it was the starting 11 was a makeshift. No, certainly the back 4 was makeshift.
Well, it's only one centre half. That's what no one expected Sarkowski to play. I mean, you Brantway were playing, it's only Michael Keane. And all of a sudden, the
it's still relevant though,
so
isn't
basically, because the 4th choice centre back isn't fit, the whole team's a mess. That shouldn't be the case.
Also, do we need to go out and buy another centre
No,
back?
what I'm saying is that shouldn't be the case, and due to the lack of planning, that shouldn't be the case if your 4th choice centre back
I don't think that's
is
lack
injured.
of planning.
Well, it's got to be.
Well, we've got 4.
But I also think though
centre backs
on Saturday though as well. You know, some of the goals we can see the 2 of them
mistakes,
with bad mistakes, weren't they? Schoolboy stuff.
Well, we spent the first 45 minutes defending well and actually looking quite lively and bright. So we did
then you
make
run
2
out of
mistakes.
gas.
No,
You run
we
out
did.
of gas.
I think the biggest concern from Saturday was not what happened on the pitch, because I think it just reaffirms a lot of stuff that we already knew. It was the team sheet before the game and the lack of squad depth, because you need bodies. I mean, even in the Premier League now, you look last season, we played Bournemouth during the game that obviously no one likes to talk about when we threw away the lead. They made 2 subs and then 3 subs within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They made 5 subs. They changed half their outfield team. We were holding on for dear life because we had no one to, you know, Irabuma had been outstanding for 75 minutes and he should have brought him off because he ran his course and his legs, but we clearly didn't want to change and we didn't really have the personnel on the bench to change. And this is what we're up against now, you know, the Premier League now, you can get to 60 minutes and go, right, we're changing this. 3 players come off, 3 players go on. You can get to 70 minutes and go, this isn't working again, 2 off, 2 on. And all of a sudden, the last 20 minutes, the other team's got 5 new outfield players, we're all fresh. How many times last year were Everton kind of like for like, or, you know, it was they didn't really have the squad depth to make changes. Modern football's changed, and you need bodies, you need a squad. And at the minute, Everton are far, far cry from that.
I totally agree, because if you look, and it's not, we're talking Everton and Bournemouth level, the top teams. Why do you think Liverpool won the league last season by a canter? Got 6 centre forwards. So if Diaz comes in, Nunes comes in, Salah drops out, Gakpo comes in, it's like, you've got centre forwards everywhere.
You look this year, Liverpool going to do the same, aren't they, this year? 60 minutes into games, you wouldn't be surprised if Kirkes comes off or Robinson, the left backs change, the centre midfielders change. Like you said, the forward line changes. Modern football has changed. Modern football has moved on. And I think Everton have been left behind massively.
Big time.
The squad depth you've got, and look, this is not the fault of some of the managers. It's probably not the fault of Kevin Felwell, because they inherited a mess. They inherited a situation whereby we were operating with 2 hands tied behind our back because of PSR issues and, you know, deals that we done 5-6 years ago that were dreadful, and we paid the price. But we're in a new era. Well, we all say we're in a new era now, and this is where things have got to change, and we've got to get more modern. We've got to get up to speed with modern day football, because we are going to get left behind, and we will find ourselves in positions this season where, with 20 minutes to go, the opposition will make 3 subs, and we've got to be able to counter that and go like for life.
We saw that last season after the Bournemouth game. No one is, naive to the fact that Bournemouth made those 5 subs in that game and completely changed half the team and scored 3 goals in 8 minutes or something like that. What I will say is, I don't think it's what happened on Saturday for that game with the 3 centre-backs being out. I don't think that's down to lack of planning. I think that is a little bit of being a little bit unlucky, to be honest. But you've just said there... You've just said there you wouldn't go out and sign another centre-back. So in this case then, you're kind of contradicting yourself, because you need to go out and sign another centre-back then for better planning.
No, so to the lack of planning, is that not just a centre-back, you have another right-back in place. Or a lad that can play left back and also play centre half. So that's what you'd have. Everton have got one recognised right back and one recognised left back on a tour.
Okay,
that's the lack of planning.
At the moment, the only other options that
they've got one right winger and one left winger. That's lack of planning.
It was to keep a 39-year-old Ashley Young, who no Premier League team wanted him. He's gone to Ipswich, and obviously we've tried to address it with Premier League experience right back in Kenny Tete, who changed his mind and didn't want to come.
So did he not know this over the last 2 or 3 months?
But we've still got plenty of time to get a right back in.
But it's not now. That's all that it's in time.
I just don't think Everton's makeshift defence on Saturday was down to lack of planning.
I really do.
Because 3 players out injured who were playing that one position.
But we knew Branthwaite was injured. We knew Branthwaite before he even stepped foot on the plane was injured. Yeah. We knew Tarkowski's been injured for months.
So we just signed a player.
So we've just gone to we've gone to a tour with 2 recognised centre backs, 1 left back, and 1 right back.
I'd probably say most teams only have about 3 or 4 recognised centre backs. I'd probably say,
but not many of them have gone to the tour with 1 right back and 1 left back.
Look, your point is valid, but the point is also valid that we've got time to address all of this, and it's no point in just bringing in players for the sake of.
I understand that, but this hasn't happened overnight. This is a period of months and months.
Cheers, Tom.
Yeah, of course, it's years. It's years. And because we've got a new recruitment team, I get it. I fully accept that. But this just all of a sudden, you just get a team together and go, we've got 13 fit players going on a pre-season tour in America. The biggest example I can give is that we're having to play a lad who Moyes probably doesn't want to play. He's not good enough. And we're having to play him. And he's going to go move to Stockport County next week.
I tell you, in 6 months, in 6 months' time, no one will care that we got beat.
It's nothing to do with that, but because we're going to start the Premier League off miles behind everyone else. Miles behind. That's the problem we're going to be at. David Moyes went on record straight after the game, says, ideally, I would have wanted players in before this. So if we're not getting players in now, before at the tour, so when he comes back, we've got 1 game against Roma, and we're expecting to see 6 or 7 players in before the season finishes, before the season starts. It ain't happening, and Everton are going to go into the season half cooked.
I don't think we'll be half cooked. I think the players who are there now should be firing on all cylinders, because they played that much football. They should be fit as anyone. They should be the most fittest team in the league.
But then, as you've just touched on, Conor, though, it's a squad game, it's not a team game.
And that's my concern.
The problem Everton have got.
That's my concern. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think with that. I mean, I wasn't too alarmed by the back. I'm more alarmed at the personnel at the back than the injury that we've had. But I just think the problem with all this goes back to, it's just planning, isn't it? It's transfers. You know, it's such a key cog in the world, and when you don't have.
Hang on, so you agreeing with him? You think it's lack of planning that we played a makeshift backline on Saturday?
No, I think it's a lack of planning that we find ourselves in the position we are in terms of being able to make.
I don't think it's lack of planning. We're waiting for the right players and the players with quality.
How long do you want to wait for?
You build a. Well, let's face it. It's weeks into the new recruitment team and the relatively new managers.
That's a lack of planning. That's poor on the club's part, though, isn't it? Because we should have been. Everyone knew what was coming down the line.
We know all these players were going in the summer.
If anything, it's poor on the previous regime's part, because they've let all these players' contracts lapse. And
but the club's known about all the 10 players. These 10 players: Ashley Young, Jack Harrison, Jasper Lindstrom, Mangala,
Calvert-Lewin, all offered new contracts and declined.
Yeah, so that was only 2.
Ashley Young's a 39-year-old right back whose only other club that he could find was Ipswich. I'm happy with that.
So, yeah, but they knew that all their own signings were going back, the four of them.
Who between them, Mangala, cruciate ligaments, Harrison and Lindstrom, no one goal between them with no assists.
But yeah, I agree with the stats level and the quality. But did they know that they were going? Yes.
Yeah.
So in my mind, they're going, right, we need to get replacements in them. Let's have them lined up so David Moyes can take his squad to the US and let's get them going. So did they know that all them players? We understand the quality of them, but did they know Calvert-Lewin was going? Well, you should have a contingency plan.
Well,
you should be banking on it, should you?
Well, we've got a contingency plan because we've just signed a £27 million striker in Tino Barry, who I think is an upgrade.
Okay, Decore, right? They knew he was probably going to go.
Again, we've signed an upgrade, and you've been banging on, waxing lyrically about Harrison Armstrong, who has now could play in that position.
Potential.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, but you've been talking about
of course I have, yeah, but potential. So all the other players that have left as well, did they know that they need replacing? Of course they do. So we've gone to the States.
Where were the other players?
The three for a kick-off that went on loan. Ashley Young, we've just touched on.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
So you've known all these players were leaving the football club. Yeah. So you need a contingency plan. Yeah. Right, David Moyes, you're going to the States. Right, we need a squad for you. They've gone to the States with a patched up side.
I think they're looking
and this is the brunt of it now.
The bigger picture is not just, this tournament,
silly
tournament in America, is it?
It's not silly, though. It's not silly.
No, it's integrating plays before the Premier League campaign.
That's fine. Styles of play.
Do you know what I think of one of the biggest disappointing things from all this, if I'm being honest, is this is a good chance to show Everton off in the States. The US is a massive market, isn't it? You see,
that's irrelevant to me. I'd rather Everton finish 6th, 7th or 8th rather than win a pre-season tournament in America.
You take a team over that's patched up. Just not a good look, is it?
No, it's
not a good look.
You build a squad over 3 or 4 seasons. That's what you do, and you sign players who are ready to go.
Yeah.
In your first summer, in your January transfer window, and in your next summer. That's what you do. It takes time.
Yeah, now, it doesn't.
I'm disappointed a little bit that maybe we haven't got a little bit more in. But what I will say, we've addressed a lot of positions in there already. 2 of our main players into Croll and Calvert-Lewin, who have already been addressed. I mean, Calvert-Lewin scored 3 goals last season.
was already there last season.
It doesn't matter. He played on the right.
You still play. You're still a player. You're still playing. He was still playing for Everton.
No, he was.
So we've still lost to Corey. Alcaraz was still there for half of the season.
And now we've got Harrison, who could potentially come to the fore as well.
So
Alcaraz is not a replacement for Decore then?
Well, no, because he was already there. He was already there for large parts of last season. Half the season
only
was there.
On loan, though.
Yeah, but he was still getting used as a player.
So when Decore played, though,
Decore arguably played more games than anyone last season.
So when Decore played, did Alcaraz play in the same position as him?
No, they swapped.
So that's what I mean. So Alcaraz, when Decore both played on the same
but that
team,
player who's left the club still needs replacing.
So Alcaraz was playing out of position on the right when he played, and then he was in his natural position to replace Decore as the number 10.
Yeah.
So that's my point.
My point is that player still left and hasn't been replaced.
He has
from
been
last season.
He has been replaced. Well, Harrison Armstrong's in there now.
Well, that again, potential youngster.
Well, you say you've been
I have, because I rate him highly. I rate him highly. Of course, I rate him. My argument is it is lack of planning because we've gone to a pre-season tournament in preparation for the season ahead with 1 right back, 1 left back, 1 right winger, 1 left winger. That's it.
No, that's fine. But
that's lack of planning.
We'll just get in any old player who can just fill a position.
Exactly. I understand that, but it's still lack of planning.
I don't think it's lack of planning.
Can we talk about Jack Grealish?
There's plenty. I'm sure there's plenty of planning that's gone in place, and Moyes clearly is frustrated. You're frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm trying to see the positives of what the club have done so far, and hopefully what the club is going to do over the next couple of weeks.
Right, talk about Jack Grealish.
I'm surprised at your stance on it. So just because we were both in agreement over, before the season finished, that you've got to trust the process, you've got to trust Moyes, you've got to trust the recruitment team. And weeks into it now, I'm not saying you've gone back on your word, but you clearly, your stance has changed just because we've got a clear lack of squad depth, which we've always had a clear lack of squad depth anyway. I just think that you build your squad over a certain period of time, and that's 3-4 years. The plan right now is to get players in who can make an impact, bringing that quality to that first 11, and not just the first 11, it's the core, 14 to 16, 17 players that are probably going to be used, week in, week out.
I understand this recruitment team. We're not going to see the fruits of it until maybe 18 months' time, 2 years. I totally understand that. This isn't going to happen overnight. My problem is the whole point of pre-season and for David Moyes and to go into the new stadium with it, you need to be integrating players into the squads. And currently, as things stand, you can probably guess I'm only guessing here, by the way, that the mood in that camp at the moment with the current first team going, we need help here. We need help.
Players have come out
we
and
need
said
desperately.
that, yeah.
We need help. And I'm only going from the body language our manager is telling us as well. He's telling us he's unhappy with the way things are going at the moment. That's his message. I would have hoped that I would have seen more players so we can integrate them. That's where we are. So that's the manager that's sending the message out to the fans. He's telling us that he's not happy with the situation. So that's my argument is. We're all agreeing with things.
He's frustrated.
Yeah.
I don't think he said that. He's frustrated. He's frustrated that we haven't been able to sign the players that he wants at this moment in time. That's what he said, at this moment in time. But there's still time, isn't there?
That's why, as things currently stand here on this date, we're all as frustrated as David Moyes. That's my argument.
I'm happy to reserve judgment until the transfer window slams shut. And if we're in the same position that we're in now, then we can, well, you can vent now, you can do what you want, but I'll vent at the time. I think we've got to play the long game with this. Like, we've got to be patient with it.
But I think the big thing, and what has struck me, is the tone in which Moyes has been speaking in, because when you think of January and everyone, when he come in and everyone was like, my God, we need players, you know, this is awful. And if you remember back then, he was a lot calmer, wasn't he, Moyes? And he was a bit like, I don't think we do, you know, and he was clearly, understandably when what transpired, but he was very clear in the sense of, I think we'll be okay. I think we've got enough to stay up. I'm not going to bring players in for the sake of it. I'm quite relaxed.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone else around him, all the fans, reporters, everyone of us was sit there going, I don't know, I think they need a few players in. You know, I think they need a few players in. He needs to get a centre forward, he needs to do this. And he was just kind of like, no, I think we'll be okay. I think I'm encouraged by what I've seen. I think we'll be okay. You take that to what it is now, and he's kind of sitting there, isn't he, what So said there, of just being a bit like, we need help, you know, we need to bring players in. The tone's a lot different. The way he's speaking seems a lot different. He's clearly frustrated, but I think the way things have gone. So that for me is the big thing, because it's when the manager starts talking like that, you start to get a little bit worried, I think. Whereas the best thing about David Moyes when he come back in January was just how relaxed he was and how calm. And like I say, the message was just like, it'll be okay, you know, it'll be okay. This time round, it doesn't feel like it's going to be okay. And the manager certainly hasn't given reassurances it's going to be okay.
And this is the messages, the mixed messages we're getting in, and that's my argument, is that, as Connor's just touched on, Moyes' messages, and then we had Angus Kinnear speak on the official website a couple of days before, saying judges at the end of the window. Well, you're leaving yourself wide open for criticism there by saying them things already. Because if it doesn't happen, then Everton are going to be panicking with a couple of days to go.
Well, you think back to, you know, a lot of moments should home for Managerial, but one moment in particular forever haunts them, didn't it? And that was when he sat there and said, we need a forward, we'll bring a forward in. And they never did. And that haunts them, didn't it? And that's where...
All right, well, but that's not now, is it?
No, but what I'm saying is, when you start talking about, like, at the end of the window, you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure to deliver towards the end of the window.
Well, there's pressure now.
And what you could do is, towards the end of the window, you could end up paying maybe extra for players that you're not willing to do so now. So say James Matei is still up for sale. Where is he up for sale now at 35? City, no, hang on. Well, the longer we leave this, we don't desperately need to sell him. But the longer this goes on towards the window, Everton could be going, right, we need to play it in here desperately. We've exhausted all our options. Right, we're going to have to go in big on him. And that could get to a position.
Since David Moyes has come back to the club in a second stint, all he's done is talk the club up. He's raised expectations. His mandate was to keep Everton in the league, and he did it with flying colours. So much so that if the season had started when Moyes had come in, we would have been challenging for a Europa League, very close to a Champions League spot. Now, I'm not suggesting that is going to be the case next season. You're right, other teams have improved, they've signed players. We have as well, by the way. We've signed a couple of upgrades, in my opinion, as I've already stated. That's Moyes' problem, though. Since he's come in, he's raised expectation. What did the club, what did the fans, what did Moyes expect was going to happen in this summer transfer window, that we were just going to be able to go out and buy exactly who we wanted? The players that we have brought in, the 4 that we brought in, you're right, you know, they haven't been widely challenged by anyone else. But now we're clearly going after a certain profile of player, a certain quality of player who is going to attract rival clubs.
So why is
David
why is he looking fed up telling us them messages then?
Well, maybe he underestimated, or maybe he was in the blue tint bubble, thought, well, we're Everton, we've got a brand new stadium. I'm David Moyes.
I don't think David Moyes is naive
players.
like that. He's probably been aware of the conversations before he even took the job. I said, listen, see us over the line and we'll regroup in the summer. I'm sure he's had several conversations with the owners in terms of how much he's got to spend.
But we also haven't got an unlimited amount of cash, remember, by the way. Like, let's face it, like someone laughed at me when I mentioned PSR yesterday. Like, PSR, sorry. You know, yet we're not in a financial perilous position with PSR at this moment in time. The Freakins, if they wanted to, in reality, could go out and spend what they wanted because of the billions that they've got. But we are still restricted by PSR like every other club is in the league.
But since July the 1st, they're saving about 350 grand a week in wages alone.
No, that's
from your Zakora, your Calvert-Lewins, your Jack Harrisons.
I don't know the ins and outs too, but we can't go out there and spend unlimited funds, can we?
I get that,
I think
of course,
so.
yeah.
I think we'll agree with that. Yeah. So my point is that say we have got like 35 million allocated for James Matei as the top end, then that's good because we can spend 35 million. However, if a bidding war starts taking place, which, you know, by all accounts, it's going to happen, then what do we do then when it gets to the 35 million pound mark and Forest offer 36 million? Do we offer 37? Do we just go 40? That then may prevent us from bringing in the right back that we want to bring in, because we're all on a budget at the end of the day. That's all it is. So that delays things. That's you've got to take all that into account as well.
Of course, fully accept that.
Gone off on a tangent again, haven't we?
The beauty of it, isn't it?
You want to talk about Jack Grealish?
Right, we'll finish on Jack Grealish, shall we? Because I think that's a good way to finish. Because
we'll have to talk about ticket prices as well as the women's team another day.
Because I am excited by the prospect of Everton signing Jack Grealish.
Can we all agree on that, or?
And that's why I knew. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because I knew.
I nearly swore then.
I knew. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because a couple of weeks ago, I was not very pro Grealish. I have to say, I was a bit like, But the longer it's gone on, I just think he'd be our best player, and you want to be excited. And I think he's an exciting football to watch. Your lads must have loved watching him, so come on, you know.
Don't tell me you're not going to say you want Jack Grealish after everything you've just said.
He becomes our best player instantly. I fully understand that. But in terms of the profile of the player that we're looking for, is he the type that we want? I'd rather sign Matei if you'd offer me to sit with him right now.
But we're not going to sign Jack Grealish.
No, we're not. So options it's a loan. But again, I don't think the owners are willing to put the money up to pay Jack Grealish's 300 grand a week. So it'll probably come to subsidising some of it, and City will probably wait again till the end of the window. See, this is where we're at. It's all going to happen towards the end of the window, and ideally, Everton could be ends up signing. They're going to be.
See, I don't know about Grealish. I know what you're saying, but I think City might just want to get him off the books as fast as they can, and they might just accept anything just to get him off. No way, because it's always at the minute, isn't it? Because he's training part by himself because he didn't go to the club.
He's trained this week with them.
But he's been by himself because he didn't go to the Club World Cup, and then he comes back and they were all off, and it's obviously not a good position, is it, for the club and for Jack Grealish to be in, because let's face it, you've got a young lad who's he's not in the squad thinking, mixing with the squad, and you know, it's City probably just wanting a thing where it's like they can shake hands and go good luck, and you know, go.
But they can afford to wait till the end of the window, can't
they? But I just think they wouldn't want that, though. I don't think they won't want him.
Well, don't you? If you're looking at it from City's perspective, you go, well, hang on, well, we know Everton won't be the only club in for him. So,
but I don't, because
there'll be lots of clubs in for Jack Grealish, 100%. Lots of clubs, and towards the end of the window, you get a lot of clubs being desperate, like Everton.
I'm quite excited by the prospect of Everton signing Jack Grealish.
Just see Jack Grealish's Everton's interest in Jack Grealish's desperation.
I don't.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Why though?
He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but in terms of delivering numbers,
I can't believe after everything you've just said.
I'd love him. I'd love him at Everton. Of course, I'd love him at Everton. Very good player. Brilliant. He's a good ball carrier. He makes things happen. Creates chances. I get that. Fully, of course, I'd have him.
Where does he play, the left or the right?
He can play anywhere, can't he? He's a gifted footballer.
Does that impact in Die as well?
Possibly it does. But at the same time, we need players. That's why my argument
we
is
need
really
good players, and
exactly.
on his day, he's a very, very good player.
He's a very, very good player. I get that, but give me Matei before him all day long.
I don't think anyone disputes that, but I'm quite excited by the prospect if we've got.
I just don't think you could turn your nose up at.
No, you can't. In our position, we can't.
And I think the big thing as well is that he's coming to Everton, isn't it? And it's do or die for him.
And it's World Cup year as well.
I know that sounds quite harsh, given
that's World Cup year as well.
He's not that old, but you know, if given the way he's just been cut adrift by Pep, and you know he hasn't had a look and did he last year at City, you know, if he comes to Everton and struggles and doesn't quite get back up to his best, then you'd struggle to think where's he going to go from here and what's he going to, you know, like you say there, it's a World Cup year. He definitely wouldn't be in the thinking of Thomas Tuchel's England squads if he can't cut the mustard at Everton. So he's coming with a point to prove, and I think it's quite exciting.
Do you think all them conversations that we've just spoken about here, Matei and Grealish, they've happened 4 or 5 weeks ago, hence why David Moyes is in the mood, or the interviews he's given out currently that
Possibly,
he's probably aware now, listen, I'm fed up here.
So
do you think this is the result of the conversations that have happened? We can't afford wages.
Or it's the result of Moyes have identified players who've gone elsewhere. Because the thing with David Moyes is...
But them two haven't yet, have they?
No, but the thing with David Moyes is, though, and this is where you think back to his first spell, they were very good at identifying players, weren't they? But a lot of the times they lost out because someone else come along at the last minute. You know, you think of, you know, there's a Carl Norton and Carl Walker. Boys have watched them for a year, hadn't he? And then unfortunately Sheffield United went on that great run to the Championship playoff final, or they meant to come up, and the two of them ended up because Everton got gazumped. You know, was it Luka Modric? I think he watched, didn't he, for 8 months, and was, you know, thought he was great, and then got gazumped by Tottenham. Edin Dzeko was the one I think he watched.
You're right, yeah.
Alvarado Negredo was the one who watched and got gazumped by Manchester City. So he was always quite good, and the people around him were quite good at identifying these players and, you know, being players to watch. But then, unfortunately, Everton get gazumped at the last moment, or once they become aware of interest. You know, the lads who went to Liverpool, Sissoko, they'd watched him, hadn't they, for months, and then we got out Everton's interest, and then Liverpool gazumped Everton then. So, you know, I think that's where probably Moyes' frustration when I come in, is that he's identified players and it's just not quite worked out. They're not got them over the line, or something's prevented the deal from happening, or, you know, it becoming close. With Grealish, it feels a little bit different.
So do you think the two players that we've spoken about, they're the only two at the moment that we've been rumoured to be in for that are currently not made their move yet? So you think David Moyes has put them messages out to say basically to the board, right, I'm aware that we haven't hit our targets, but there's two players there that I like the look of, go and get me one of them?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I think as well, if I can defend the club, again, that's all I seem to be doing at this moment in time. I think I understand your point, so about Everton don't want to be left, you know, sat with their hands on the bum. It can also be seen as a bit of a negotiating tactic as well. Let's take, for instance, Jack Grealish. If Everton are serious about a loan deal for Jack Grealish, and we are probably not, but say we are the only club interested in him, what do we do? Just say to City, right, well, we're just going to go out there and pay 300 grand for his wages, minimal fee, you know, that you get with these loan deals nowadays. Bang, deal is done. Do we go back to them and go, well, we'll pay half, City can subsidise it, whatever? It's a negotiating tactic, the delay, because City, do you think City want Jack Grealish sat on their bench, not even on their bench, playing in the reserves for a full season, or at least until January, earning 300 grand a week?
Obviously not, but they know quite well that there's going to be clubs that are going to take him when they went to the window.
So Everton could be trying to force City's hand to say, or Grealish can force City's hand, saying, just let me go, lads, like, just come to a compromise over the deal. So I get that argument from your side of things, but I also think it could be a bit of a negotiating tactic from Everton. It could be, listen,
but it's a gamble, isn't it? Because the
one I wouldn't gamble on is James Matei.
And look at how the gamble's gone straight away. Already Forrest has gone right there, 25. And that's the gamble, isn't it?
All right, finish off dead quick on some with some questions or some comments. Tony still hasn't offered a solution to fix the issue of one fit senior centre-back.
Recruitment team, do I?
He already said he wouldn't have signed another one.
Am I a scout? No. Am I part of Everton's recruitment team? No. I'm no different from you two guys here.
We don't want you.
I feel honoured, Tom.
We'd rather you be on
you see yourself as an equal to me?
On a Royal Blue podcast.
Yeah.
Here's another one. James Matei is an overpriced pipe dream, not worth 40 million, and there's clubs in Europe after him.
So if clubs in Europe are after him, what did that tell you?
Yeah. This poor planning argument does my head in. They'd have had targets lined up but either fee is too much for what they want to pay or players won't come. Are we wanting to sign players just for the sake of it?
Obviously not. I fully accept that. But at the end of the day, where's the cut-off point where we all know that we need players? So there's going to come a cut-off point soon where we're going to go, like, we need to do something here.
There will be a cut-off
Yeah.
point. I agree with
Yeah.
that. There will have to be a cut-off point. Dave Mack says, Moyes knows we won't get a total of 10 players in until the final few hours of the transfer deadline day. 4 signings will be on loan. 2 of them will be on the final day of the window, and that's how it is.
I mean, that could be right, couldn't it?
Yeah,
It's
could
not,
be
and
right.
it's not out of the ordinary, is it?
It's not ideal, but it could be right. Could be absolutely
What's
spot
the
on.
famous saying, don't go to bed?
Well, we won't be going to bed over the next couple of days with how late our kick-off times are they?
Is it R11 UK time on
late one
Sunday?
tomorrow.
Oh, Wednesday, yeah.
10 o'clock Sunday.
10 o'clock Sunday.
It's not so much the late start, it's the late finish of the game, because you're looking at like what? Well,
What
close to
o'clock?
2, aren't you?
I'm an early bird as well, so like when that game, watching the Everton Bournemouth game, and then the second half, I was just going, just going to sleep and sleep. Be a brave person to watch through the 90 minutes of that on Wednesday.
Okay, we'll have to finish off because I know Connor and Tony have got to go. Sorry that we weren't able to talk about match day ticket prices or the Everton's women's team, but we'll come on to that in a separate podcast. What I will say is, just very quickly, while everyone's still on, Chris Beasley's got an interview and a podcast with Dan Meese, which is going out tomorrow, and he's also spoken to Howard Kendall's son, Simon, and he's done an audio recording of that interview, so we're going to put that out as a podcast as well. Should we look at the camera and look at you two?
What does he think of the recruitment?
He loved it. I think it's been fantastic so far.
What are his thoughts on James McAtee and Jack Grealish?
Oh, yeah, you'll have to listen to the podcast.
Am I gives not away?
All right, well, that is all for today's Royal Blue podcast. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Drop us some 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks to Connor and Tony. I've been Ian Croll, and this has been the Royal Blue podcast.